Yo guys, Vision here, back with more Call of Duty Zombies content. Today's episode will be around Reise, the finale of World War Zombies, the fourth map that was ever made, and a fitting map to be included in the beloved Black Ops 3 Zombies franchise, which is my personal favourite, and this is the Giant, which is what I'll be playing here today. This is episode 2 of the Zombies series, which my previous episode being based on the Nukta and Toten, Varrock and Shiranuma maps, which is linked in the description below. So, on that note, let's get right into it. So, first things first, I guess as an overview, I think we can all agree that this map has to be in the top 3 most iconic maps of all time, even arguably the most iconic, with it really transcending Cod Zombies to a whole new level, especially when considering the time of which we got this map and how well it was received from the player base and just how good it was in its prime. Reise, or the Giant, of course, in this video, is a staple in Zombies, bringing us the first edition of the Pack-a-Punch, the teleportation, and even a mini Easter egg. Now, Reise, at the time, this map was just groundbreaking. The sort of the trend of World War Zombies at the time just continued to go in that right direction, really leveling it up each time the sort of map packs came out. And this map, as a finale, was just perfect. Absolutely no flaws, in my opinion. It's absolutely smashed it, and with the stage sort of set for the future games to come, having one of the best high round spots ever in Call of Duty, the famous catwalk at the back of the map, where friendships and bravery were truly tested. You would always have that one friend who would just need to go to the toilet, or was all of a sudden the final zombie who was just being trained just died out, meaning the rest of your team had to survive a man down in the next round. Everyone has played that game back in the day in this map will know of this experience and what it was like, or even your friends who had to go for dinner and then you had to then improvise, either keep the game alive a man down, or just sacrifice that friend as bait and teach him a lesson, because I've done that in my fair few times, because that's what happens when you leave a Zombies game mid-game to go and eat some food or whatever it may have been, because everyone knows back then, if you commit to a Zombies game, you better play it out until you die, because that was the golden rule. Now, having one of the best high round spots in the game, this was truly a phenomenal map, and which is what players like to come back to time and time again, having a different experience in the Giant, of course, with the likes of Gobblegums that made it a bit easier, quite a lot easier in such, but for the most part, back then, this map was amazing. It was a very difficult map at the time, but it was received really, really well at Playbase. I was fortunately one of those players that was around during this time, and this sort of, I got to experience what it was like to play this for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. Things like the Pack-a-Punch and how you opened it up with opening all different sides of the map, and then having the teleportation aspect, this was all so new and groundbreaking for Call of Duty Zombies, something I really enjoy. Now, I've never really sort of recalled a more dire moment of needing a max ammo on this map than I was camping in that spot, right at the back of the map, knowing literally your back is against the wall, having a cage right behind you, and if you walk too far back in that camping spot or run out of ammo, you were literally done, and there was nothing you could do to get out of it. There was always a player who demonstrated utter bravery within the squad in these moments, someone who would just drop down through the window spot or off the catwalk and sacrifice themselves to buy more time for either you to get more ammo, teleport back to the Pack-a-Punch, and so on. There was always that player, and I tend to have been to one of those players at the time. I guess I was just fortunately one of the more skilled players at the time. I was definitely ahead of my time in terms of the age I was at this time playing this game. Definitely was too young to be playing this game, but having been skilled at this game, I was one of those players that were able to train zombies and just really understood it. And I definitely remember playing with people who just weren't confident and weren't really sure how the hell you even train zombies in the first place. They was just always a liability and always went down, and that is why quick revive perks like that were really handy for keeping players and friends like that in the game. Now, the window spot and the barriers of this camping spot on this catwalk were always such an awkward spot, as this catwalk is literally a near perfect spot with technically only one route access via the stairs, but if you stood just far enough back, every zombie you face was literally in line for a headshot, saving on your ammo and shredding hordes even that much quicker. This is literally the sort of efficiency you needed back then in order to survive. With no Gobblegums, no mule kick, so no third weapon, you really had to conserve your ammo and often have teammates rotate in the lineup on who even shot first and who reloaded first, having to call out things like that, having teammates crouch at the front and the two would then stand at the back. These were all of the advanced tactics that sort of separated you back then from being a casual player to an advanced high round zombie player. These are the sort of things we had to do back then in order to evolve and adapt to playing at a higher level, and some players just didn't really understand it. They thought the strategy was just literally point and shoot, and then didn't really understand how players got to such high rounds. This is the sort of methods you had to do and sort of incorporate into your gameplay back then. Of course, the ledge was always near there, so you can always use it to escape as well. You often had players just abandon the strategy when times got too much and it got overwhelming. They would literally just panic and run, leaving the whole round of zombies to be dealt with by a man down, and more often than not, that player, that coward who would just leave, quickly met his fate and quickly would die, and that is what is justice served by the zombies, because that actually happened quite a lot with me. I remember this specifically. Players would simply just panic and become overwhelmed and literally just ditch you, and then would be the first person to go down. They didn't realize by running off they would literally taking all the zombies away from you guys, and you even got a second to breathe. So that was always a funny thing that I remember when I think about Reise and camping in that catwalk and discovering it for the first time. But we also had things like bouncing betties in place. These are the sort of things you could place behind you. You had a 2-round cap per sort of round, and you had a limit. So every time, basically, in those moments, you would build up a whole stock of bouncing betties, and in any case where you needed to back up, you would simply just fall back, walk into the caged area and you'd buy you enough time in order to reload, or even just a second to breathe, because that's what they did. Even things like that, I just remember it really well. It just sort of stuck with me. And of course, we cannot forget the Wonder Waffle, or the DG42 when upgraded. This was basically this was made for this spot. It was just perfect. Coming out in just the previous DLC in Shinonuma, this map was just provided the perfect line of sight and length in this catwalk spot to chain a whole round or group of zombies in one shot. Just perfect. The weapon arrived in Shinonuma, as I said, and now players were fully aware of how to use this weapon and its dominance and its capabilities. So by this sort of map when it came out, that was the desirable option that you wanted in this spot. It was just perfect, and it also just looks so cool. And at this time, we hadn't really experienced all the other weapons that have since come, like wonder weapons such as the Thunder Gun, or even things like the elemental staves and bows and so on. Now, for the Giant, this is slightly different, albeit the exact same map, of course, but definitely just doesn't hit the same. I don't know what it is. I don't really play this map and ever get that same urge. Maybe it's just because that's how times have come, and I don't really know what it'd be like to play Reise, the original actual map back in World at War, what it'd be like to play today. And I've always wondered what it would feel like to play that map out of time. For someone who maybe missed the boat of not being able to play the World at War maps when they were actually new, is this what it feels like to miss a map in its prime? Who knows? I don't know. Let me know down below if you guys think that's what it's like and you guys didn't actually play the original World of War Reise and you actually only played the Giant itself. Does this map hit the same for you guys? Or is it just the sort of thing? I don't know. It's always something I've always wondered about these sort of maps, because when the Giant came out, I never really played or had the urge to play it. Now, I don't know if that's also because Black Ops 3 Zombies just had the best maps with the likes of Shadows of Evil, the Rise and Draco, Zets, Gorod, and Rev. And then when Chronicles came out, playing the original maps, and it just wasn't as fun playing the Giant. I appreciate there's various different reasons and sort of factors that go into it, and maybe this is where nostalgia takes its toll. But maybe let me know down below if you guys have any comments on that, because who knows, maybe I just don't like the atmosphere of the Giant compared to Reise. It was definitely a darker and more intimidating experience back then to play this map. But like I said, maybe age has something to do with it. I guess we'll never really know. But if you were there, a fortunate player like me, and got to experience this map in its prime, salute to you, because this map absolutely nailed it. And it's in its time, there really was no greater achievement than being the last man standing on that catwalk, surviving the round, and bringing your whole squad back. You felt like an absolute hero, being known as the most heroic and badass player that they'd ever seen, especially if you was in a random game with people you never even knew, and you would just always remember it's just a harder map back then. It was definitely with less experience and less tools to survive, and only your wits about you. Players who were truly good always found a way to survive the impossible, get out of that catwalk spot, and bring your whole team back. That was a really cool feeling that I always stuck with me. I've had a few moments where I remember it still sticks with me to this day, where I brought the whole team back, and just these random Americans or whoever it was in my game, they were just like, whoa, how the hell do you do this, or how are you doing this? And remember, we were quite young back then as well. Some of us were kids and teenagers, so just remember that. Like, I literally just remember going to school the next day, and people just obviously wouldn't understand what the hell I had been up to the night before. Just knowing that I'd been in this map, surviving the unsurvivable things, doing the most impossible things in order to survive, and getting to such a high round. I don't know what a high round back was back then, or maybe it wasn't even as high as maybe I remember, but I do remember going to school the next day and just thinking, wow, what an experience that was, and just couldn't get enough of it, wanted to play more. I mean, for the Giant, the Easter egg on this map is probably one of the quickest, if not the fastest, to complete of all time. And calling it an Easter egg really kind of feels unjustified, to be honest, with the level of detail on the rest of the maps and the rest of the Easter eggs. However, it does have a core meaning to this storyline for what it's worth, so it is worth mentioning. But in summary, I think we can all agree that Reise, or the Giant, is one of the greatest maps of all time. Basically, really paved the way in transcending zombies to a whole new level and creating many unforgettable core memories that I will definitely never forget, and I really hope I don't. But as always, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as always, and if you have any comments, tips, or tricks about playing zombies, or anything you want to share, any maybe even cool stories, or even any suggestions about future videos that you want to see on this channel, let me know down below and I'll get right back to you. I'm going to continue to pump out some more zombies content ahead of the sort of Black Ops 7 launch, and start doing the work my way towards Black Ops 6. That's kind of the trend I'm going to go on in this series. So if you guys are liking it and you want to stay tuned, make sure you do and smash that subscribe button. I'm Vision SGen. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.